Okay, yesterday I introduced you to the doctrine of dependent origination or Paṭiccasamuppāda. I told you that Bodhisattva was familiar with the doctrine of dependent origination even before he attained Buddhahood, and how he practiced meditation, taking the factors of Paṭiccasamuppāda or dependent origination as the object of his Vipassana meditation, and how he attained Buddhahood. So today we will study the dependent origination following the formula. So please look at the first page of the handout for chapter 8. So yesterday we read the formula, and so here is the formula again. The avijja paccaya saṅkhāra, saṅkhāra paccaya viññāna, viññāna paccaya nama rupam, nama rupa paccaya Sīlāyatana, Sīlāyatana paccaya phaso, phasa paccaya vedana, vedana paccaya tanha, tanha paccaya upadana, upadana paccaya bhavo, bhava paccaya jati, jati paccaya jara marana. Yesterday in the manual the text is jara marana, soka paridiva, and so on. Now here I have jara marana. They mean the same thing, but I prefer this reading, jara marana, and then soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti eva metassa. It should be read eva metassa, not evam etassa. So eva metassa kevalassa dukkha khandhassa samudayo hoti. Now if you look at the numbers, what do you see? After 10, what is the number? It is 12. So that should be 11. And number 12 should be in front of jara maranam. So 11 jati paccaya and 12 jara maranam, and then soka paridiva and so on. And avijja means ignorance, not knowing or not understanding, and it is explained as not knowing the Four Noble Truths in Sutta, and in Abhidhamma it is explained as not knowing the Four Noble Truths plus not knowing the aggregates in the past, not knowing the aggregates in the future, not knowing the aggregates both in the past and the future, and not knowing the dependent origination. So not knowing these 8 things is explained as avijja. Avijja means not knowing. Vijja means knowledge or knowing, and av means not, and so avijja means not knowing. Sometimes wrong knowing is also called not knowing. People know what is impermanent to be permanent, what is suffering to be not suffering, what is non-soul to be soul, what is ugly to be beautiful, and so knowing wrongly is also called avijja. And the second is saṅkhāra, karma formations. So I explained the word saṅkhāra yesterday or day before yesterday. So saṅkhāra here is used in the sense of active sense. Those who do. Those who do means those who produce. So saṅkhāra actually is the name of Cetana or Karma, and other mental factors along with Cetana are also called Saṅkhara. And this word Saṅkhara is used in plural. That is why you have the verses like Sabbe Saṅkhara Anicca and so on. So here also in the plural number Saṅkhara. So karma formation simply means karma. It means the Cetasika Cetana concomitant with wholesome and unwholesome types of consciousness. So we'll come to them later. And number 3 is Vijnana. Now Vijnana is a synonym for Citta or consciousness. So consciousness is sometimes called Vijnana, sometimes called Citta, and sometimes Mana or Mano. So they mean the same thing. Vijnana here means consciousness. So let us strike out the word resultant. Because in this sentence, Saṅkhara Paccaya Vijnana, Vijnana means resultant consciousness. But in this sentence, Vijnana Paccaya Namarupam, it means both resultant and non-resultant consciousness. So here let us say just in general, consciousness. Yeah, number 4, Nama Rupa, mind and matter. Now in Pali, Nama is one word and Rupa is another word, and they are joined together. So when they are joined together, they are used in singular number. And when we translate it as mind and matter, in English it may be plural. Or if we want to make it singular, then we can put the hyphens after mind and end, taking it as just one unit. And number 5 is Salayatana. Now you have met the word Ayatana, base. Sal here means 6. So Salayatana means 6 bases. Here also in Pali it is in singular number, but in English it is plural. 6 bases. 6 internal and 6 external bases. And number 6 is Phassa, contact. So contact is not just meeting together of some things, but it is a mental state that arises out of the meeting of the 3, that is the sense, the object and consciousness. And number 7 is Vedana, feeling. Pleasurable feeling, displeasurable feeling and neutral feeling. And number 8, Tanha, craving. So Tanha literally means thirst. When you are thirsty, you want to drink water and you cannot get enough of water. In the same way, when there is Tanha, you cannot get enough of things. So it is called in Pali Tanha, and it is translated in English as craving. It is actually Lobha among the 52 Cetasikas. And number 9, Upadana. Now you have met Upadana in the 7th chapter, and it is translated as clinging. Now Upadana is made up of Upa and Adana. Upa means firmly, and Adana means holding on. So firmly holding on something is called Upadana. And how many Upadanas are there? 4 Upadanas. But according to ultimate reality, there are only 2 Cetasikas. The first one is Lobha, and the other one is Ditthi or attachment, and the other one is wrong view. So these 2 are called Upadana, clinging. They are called Upadana because they hold on to the object firmly, and once they hold on to the object, they will never let go. And then number 10 is Bhava. and it is translated as becoming. And there are two kinds of bhavas. The first is kamma bhava, and the second, in Pali, it is upapatti bhava. So here translated as karma process and rebirth process. Now the word bhava can mean something that comes into being. So it is existence. And also it means something out of which some other thing arises. That means the cause of something. So when we take the bhava as the cause of something to arise, we mean karma. Because karma produces results as rebirth and also resultant consciousness and karma-born matter. When we take bhava to mean something that arises, that means existence, then it is the rebirth process that it means. So bhava has two meanings: cause of bhava and bhava itself, cause of existence and existence itself. So there are two kinds of bhavas. Number 11 is jati. Jati means birth, coming into being. And number 12, jara marana. Jara means getting old, so aging, and marana means death. And soka, sorrow. Parideva, lamentation. Lamentation means crying, saying some words. And dukkha means bodily pain. Domanassa means mental pain, and generally translated as grief. And upayasa. Now upayasa is translated as despair. Actually upayasa is made up of upa and ayasa. Upa means excessively, and ayasa means burning or something like that. So upayasa means burning in the mind, so anguish caused by excessive domanassa. That is called upayasa. And in the commentaries, the difference between soka, parideva, and upayasa is given with a simile. So soka is like oil boiling in the pot, and parideva is like the oil spilling over after boiling. And upayasa is the oil becoming dry through excessive cooking or excessive burning. So they are all unwholesome mental states. And then the sentence at the end, eva metasa kevalasa dukkha khandasa samudayo hoti. Eva means in this way or thus. Etasa kevalasa dukkha khandasa. Dukkha khanda means a mass of suffering. Kevalasa means the whole or unmixed. And etasa means that. So samudayo means arising, and hoti means there is. So thus there is the arising of that whole mass of suffering. When we understand suffering as something that has a beginning and an end, we know that all of these are suffering, because all of these, avijja and others, have a beginning and end, and so they are impermanent, and so they are suffering. So when dependent upon avijja, sankharas arise and so on, that means the arising of dukkha, the arising of suffering. Now let us follow the train of thought made by bodhisattvas. It is said that every bodhisattva was familiar with the doctrine of dependent origination, and they found out this doctrine of origination through logical thinking. And so their thinking begins with what is real at hand. Now what is real for us now is aging and death. Immediately after rebirth, immediately after conception in the mother's womb, that is for human beings and others, aging sets in. So aging comes not 50 years after birth or 60 years after birth. Actually, aging comes immediately after conception. So the first moment is the arising of mind and matter, and from the second moment on, there is aging. So there is always aging when one is living, and as you know, at the end there is death. And also there is death at every moment. Mind and matter arising and then disappearing, and then another set of mind and matter arising and then disappearing, and so on. So the disappearing is just what we call death. So at every moment also there is the arising and disappearing, or there is birth and death. So Bodhisattvas contemplated that there is aging and death, and the beings take rebirth, and then they become old, and then they die. So what can be the cause of aging and death? What conditions aging and death? So when they apply what is called yoniso manasikara, wise attention to this problem, then the understanding dawned upon them that aging and death is conditioned by birth. Now why do we get old? Why do we have to die? Because we have been born. If there was no birth, there would be no aging and no death. So aging and death is conditioned by birth. Because we are born as human beings, we have to undergo aging at every moment, and then at the end there will come death. So aging and death are conditioned by birth. So birth is the basis for the aging and death. Then Bodhisattvas again try to find out what conditions birth. And you can see from this list that it is bhava, becoming, or karma process that conditions the birth. Now when we try to find the cause of birth or rebirth, we cannot look for the cause in this life, because birth means the beginning of this life. So if we want to know the cause of rebirth, we have to go beyond this life. We have to go back to past lives. And so Bodhisattvas found that it was karma or karma process that conditions rebirth, or that produces rebirth. And karma process simply means karma. Because beings did good karma or bad karma in their previous lives, as the result of their karma, they are reborn in blissful states or woeful states, depending on the quality of their karma. So birth is the outcome or product of the wholesome or unwholesome karma. Then they went back further. What conditions karma process? Why do people do karma? Why do people do kusala and akusala, wholesome and unwholesome acts? Because they have clinging. They are firmly attached to this thing and that thing. They are firmly attached to the blissful realms, they are firmly attached to gaining a happy rebirth and so on. So when they want to gain a happy rebirth, they may do something. And sometimes they do what is wholesome, and sometimes they do what is unwholesome. So whether they do wholesome or unwholesome act, they acquire what is called karma. Once karma is acquired, karma has the potential to give results, and so there is the result as rebirth. So the karma process is conditioned by clinging. If there is no clinging, there will be no acting. There will be no doing something that is wholesome or unwholesome. For example, we have heard that the life as celestial beings is much better than life as human beings. Now, celestial beings do not have so much suffering as we have, although they are not totally free from suffering. But it is much better to be reborn as a celestial being than to be reborn as a human being. So suppose we want to be reborn in the celestial world. Then we go to somebody and ask, what must we do to be reborn in the celestial world? Then we may meet some people who tell us to do a sacrifice. Now you sacrifice a lamb, you sacrifice an animal, and then you will go to celestial world. And we believe in them, and so we sacrifice an animal. But sacrificing an animal is killing an animal, and so it is an unwholesome act. We think that it is a correct way to be reborn in the celestial world, but what we are doing is the opposite of what we want to be. But whether it will bring what we want or what we do not want, when we sacrifice an animal, we acquire demerit or akusala. So that unwholesome karma is conditioned by the clinging. That is, strong desire to be reborn in the celestial world. Sometimes we may go to a teacher and he will instruct us to do good. Yeah, you do dana, you practice sila and so on. And so we do dana and sila and we will be reborn in the celestial world. So when we do dana, when we do sila, we acquire wholesome act. This wholesome act or wholesome karma will enable us to be reborn in the celestial world. So whether it is unwholesome or wholesome act we do, there is always the result of these acts. And so the doing the wholesome and unwholesome acts is conditioned by clinging with attachment or clinging with wrong view. So it is very important that if we do not want to be reborn at all, we try not to have clinging. Because whether you are reborn in woeful states or whether you are reborn in celestial beings, there is still dukkha, there is still suffering. So you will not get out of suffering so long as you are reborn in this samsara again and again. Only when you get out of this samsara do you get free from suffering. So it is important that we try to avoid clinging if we do not want suffering to endure for a long time. Now the bodhisattvas contemplate on it further and try to find out what is the condition for clinging. And they found out that the condition for clinging is craving. Now, craving is not so strong attachment or greed and clinging is strong attachment. There are two kinds of clinging, the attachment and wrong view. Wrong view is always strong. So the attachment which is not so strong is called here craving. And when it has become strong so that it cannot let go of the object, then it becomes clinging. So clinging is conditioned by craving, or strong attachment is conditioned by not so strong attachment. Because there is a not so strong attachment, there is strong attachment. Then what is the condition of the cause of craving? And they found out that because there is feeling, there is craving. There are three kinds of feelings: pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. So when there is a pleasant feeling, you are attached to it. You like it. When there is an unpleasant feeling, can attachment arise or not? Attachment will arise. Because when there is an unpleasant feeling, you crave for the disappearance of that unpleasant feeling. If you have meditated and experienced pain, you know that when there is pain, the first thing you want is for it to go away. So there is a craving for its disappearing, and at the same time a craving for the pleasant feeling. So even when there is unpleasant feeling, there can be craving. And then there is a neutral feeling. The neutral feeling is so peaceful that it is also an object of craving. So when there is feeling, there is craving. So craving is conditioned by feeling. So feeling means experience of the object. So whenever we experience an object, we have this feeling as pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. So whether the feeling is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, there can always be craving. When it is pleasant, we like it, we want to hold on to it. When it is unpleasant, we want it to go away, and we want the pleasant feeling to arise. And when it is neutral feeling also, we like it because it is so peaceful. Then why is there feeling? And the Bodhisattvas found out that because there is contact, there is feeling. Now here contact means not just coming together or meeting together, but something that arises out of the meeting together. So that is what we call phassa, or contact. When there is contact, there is always that feeling. Suppose you see something, let's say something beautiful. So there are the eyes, and there is the object that is seen, and then there is the seeing consciousness. So when these three arise, contact also arises. So the contact is the outcome of the coming together of these three. So when there is contact, when there is connection between these three, there is the feeling. So feeling invariably arises when there is contact. So we cannot avoid feeling if there is contact. So feeling is conditioned by contact. And why is there contact? Because there are 6 internal bases and 6 external bases. That means because there is the eye and there is the object to see, there is contact. The object to see comes into the avenue of the eyes, and then they meet together, and seeing consciousness also arises, and then contact also arises. So contact arises because there are the senses and there are the objects. So contact is conditioned by 6 internal bases and 6 external bases. And then Bodhisattvas wanted to find out what conditions internal basis and external basis, especially internal basis. And they found out that it is mind and matter. So mind and matter are the conditions of the basis. Among the bases, there are material properties as well as mental things. And they are conditioned by mind and matter. Actually, they themselves are mind and matter, and so these 6 bases are said to be conditioned by mind and matter. And then, what conditions mind and matter? Consciousness. Now, in the word mind and matter, mind means cetasikas, mental factors, and matter means 28 material properties. So mind and matter are conditioned by consciousness. Now, at the moment of rebirth, there is the resultant consciousness. Along with the resultant consciousness, there arise mental factors. And also there arise material properties caused by karma. So at the moment of conception, the resultant consciousness is the condition, and the mental factors and karma-born material properties are those that are conditioned. And also at other times, when consciousness arises, it always arises with mental factors, and also it produces the consciousness-born material properties. So in that case too, consciousness is the condition for mind and matter. And then, what conditions consciousness, especially the resultant consciousness? And so the Bodhisattvas found out that it is karma formations that condition consciousness. Here consciousness means the rebirth consciousness. So rebirth consciousness is the result of karma. Karma in the past, either wholesome karma or unwholesome karma. And also there are types of consciousness that arise during life, that are the results of karma. They are called resultant consciousness. So the resultant consciousness is conditioned by, or actually here produced by, what are called karma formations, or just simply wholesome karma and unwholesome karma. And why are there wholesome karma and unwholesome karmas? Now the answer is ignorance. Because we are ignorant of the true nature of things, because we are ignorant of the Four Noble Truths, because we are ignorant of the dependent origination, we do karma formations. We perform wholesome and unwholesome acts, and so we acquire what are called karma formations. These karma formations arise because we have ignorance. With unwholesome karma formations, ignorance is a concomitant. But with wholesome karma formations, ignorance is not concomitant, but it is a strong support for the wholesome karma formations to arise. So long as there is ignorance, there will always be karma formations. Those who have no ignorance do not acquire karma formations, and those are the Buddhas and the Arahants. So when a person becomes an Arahant, he is able to eradicate all mental defilements, including ignorance. So an Arahant has no ignorance. Since he is free from ignorance, whatever he does is just an act, just a doing. And that act has no power to give results. Technically, And their actions are called kiriya, functional. So they are just functional. Whatever they do is just the doing and not productive of any results. So an arahant, when he practices dana, he does not get kusala. He does not get merit. Because one gets merit only one has ignorance. One has not eradicated ignorance. So long as there is ignorance, there will be karma formations. And when there are karma formations, there will be consciousness and so on. So this is how bodhisattvas found out the doctrine of dependent origination. So they begin with what is important at the moment, so what is real at the moment, and that is aging and death. So from aging and death, they went backward one by one until they reached ignorance. But actually ignorance is not the first cause. There are conditions for ignorance also. So it goes like a circle. By the way, when Buddha described this, his contemplation on the dependent origination, he said, before my enlightenment, when I was only a bodhisattva, not yet enlightened, I think of this or I think of that. So here Buddha said, before my enlightenment, before I became the Buddha, when I was yet a bodhisattva, when I was not yet enlightened. So in Theravada teachings, a bodhisattva is not an enlightened person. A bodhisattva is an unenlightened person, or a bodhisattva is a puthujana. He is not an ariya or a noble person. Although bodhisattva is highly regarded in Theravada Buddhism, bodhisattva is just like us, a puthujana. Because if a bodhisattva becomes a noble person before he becomes a Buddha, he will not become the Buddha. Because in order to become a Buddha, one has to go through many, maybe millions of lives. Suppose about, say, 1,000 lives, a bodhisattva becomes a noble person, he will not become a Buddha. Because if he becomes a noble person, if he reaches even the first stage of enlightenment, then he will be reborn only 7 times more. And that is not enough to accumulate the necessary paramis or necessary qualifications. So in Theravada Buddhism, bodhisattvas are yet unenlightened. They have not yet attained any stage of enlightenment. So even when Buddha was a bodhisattva before his enlightenment, he was familiar with the teaching of the dependent origination, and when he practiced meditation to reach Buddhahood, he took these factors of dependent origination one by one and practiced Vipassana meditation on it. So he practiced Vipassana meditation for millions and millions of times, and when his Vipassana meditation becomes mature, then he gained enlightenment. So he gained the 4 stages of enlightenment one by one in rapid succession. Bodhisattvas came to know that this aging and death is conditioned by birth, and birth is conditioned by karma process, and so on and so on. Okay, now we will go into more details. So next page. Avijja paccaya sankhara. Because there is ignorance as condition karma formations arise. Now, the word avijja paccaya is a combination of two words, avijja and paccaya. So paccaya is condition. So condition means something that supports some other thing, and also paccaya, it can mean something that produces some other thing. The two words are joined together, and then it is said avijja paccaya. So that means because avijja as condition. So this is the literal translation. So because there is ignorance as condition, saṅkhara, karma formations arise. The usual translation is like in the manual, dependent on ignorance, karma formations arise. That's okay. So, but I want to be literal here. So I made this translation as because there is ignorance as condition, karma formations arise. Now we must understand what is ignorance and what are karma formations. And ignorance or moha is here explained as moha concomitant with 12 akusala cittas. So now you have to use your knowledge of the previous chapters to really understand the dependent origination. So please send your mind back to the previous chapters now. So there are 12 akusala cittas. And all 12 akusala cittas are accompanied by moha or avijja. So here avijja means moha arising together with all 12 unwholesome types of consciousness. That moha we call avijja here. And what are the saṅkharas? Formations of merit, formations of demerit, and formations of imperturbable. These are the words used in the text themselves. Formation of merit, formation of kusala. Here the word saṅkhara means karma or cetana, volition. So formation of merit means cetana that is concomitant with wholesome types of consciousness. Now there are 8 kama vajra kusala cittas. Sensuous sphere, kama vajra and kusala wholesome, and 5 rupa vajra kusala cittas. So you have to go back. You remember the chart? Okay, you can visualize the chart and you can point out the 8 kama vajra kusalas and 5 rupa vajra kusala cittas. So you have the chart there? Yes. So this first column is unwholesome types of consciousness. There are 12. So moha, concomitant with each one of them, is called avijja here. Now saṅkharas. Now saṅkhara is cetana, and here formations of merit means cetana concomitant with kusala cittas. So 8 kama vajra kusala means these 8. And 5 rupa vajra kusala cittas, this one. So cetana concomitant with these is called formation of merit. And formations of demerit, cetana in 12 akusala cittas. Again these akusala cittas. So cetana accompanying these 12 is called formations of demerit. And then formations of imperturbable, formations of unshakable. So the arupa vajra kusala are called imperturbable or unshakable. So that means 4 cetana in 4 arupa vajra kusala cittas. So avijja is moha in the 12 akusala cittas, and formations of merit is Cetana in these 8 Kama Vajra Kusala Cetas and 5 Rupa Vajra Kusala Cetas. And formations of demerit means Cetana concomitant with these 12 Cetas. And formations of perturbable means Cetana concomitant with these 4 Arupa Vajra Kusala Cetas. So when there is avijja or moha, then there is the formations or cetana or karma, and the karma is here divided into 3, as of merit, as of demerit, and as of imperturbable. Actually, the formation of imperturbable is also merit, but here it is treated separately. So Kama Vajra and Rupa Vajra are taken together as formation of merit, and the Arupa Vajra Kusala Cetas are taken as formation of imperturbable. The Sankharas are conditioned by moha in different ways. Now we will study how they are conditioned sometime later, not today, because you need to understand patthana in order to understand the relationship between the conditioning factor and the factor that is conditioned. Number 2, sankhara paccaya vijnana. Because there are karma formations as condition, resultant consciousness arises. So here formations are the same as in number 1, but vijnana, consciousness, means 32 mundane resultant consciousness. Now, resultant consciousness, so these are resultant consciousness, and this, and then the middle one, here also middle, and then this one. But in the Paṭiccasamuppāda, we are not concerned with the Lokuttara, so we take only the mundane up to here, from here to here. So in the sentence sankhara paccaya vijnanam, vijnana means 32 mundane resultant cetas, not all 89 or 121 cetas, only 32 mundane resultant cetas. Now number 3, vijnana paccaya nama rupam. Because there is consciousness as condition, nama, rupa and nama rupa arise. Now here vijnana is different from vijnana in number 2. So in number 2, vijnana is 32 mundane resultant consciousness. But here vijnana means 32 resultant consciousness and also karma formation consciousness. Karma formation consciousness means consciousness concomitant with mundane kusala and akusala cetana. Now, cetas was wrong, and so it is corrected, but the correction itself is not correct. So it should be C-E-T-A-N-A, and the last A should have a bar above it. Cetana. So that means kusala consciousness and akusala consciousness also. And then all other consciousness. So here vijnana means all consciousness, not just resultant consciousness, or not just kusala and akusala consciousness, but all consciousness. And nama means 52 cetasikas. Now please note this. No? Normally or ordinarily nama means citta and cetasika both. But here nama means only cetasikas, not citta, because they are to be conditioned by citta. So citta cannot be conditioned by citta. So Chitta is excluded from nama here. So nama, mental here means 52 cetasikas or 52 mental factors. And rupa, 28 material properties, or all rupas. So there are 28 material properties and all are to be taken as rupa here. Now, the word nama rupam in Pali is translated as nama rupa and nama rupa. Now that is because sometimes vijnana is a condition for nama only. Sometimes vijnana is a condition for rupa only. Sometimes it is conditioned for both nama and rupa. So we must understand the word nama rupam as representing nama, rupa and nama rupa. So actually we should say nama rupa, but since the words are the same, only the last one is retained and the first two are elided. So this is in Pali grammatical term called eka sesa, one remaining. So we retain only one and elide the others. In Pali there are such words. Suppose there is a word pitaro. Pitaro literally means fathers, but actually pitaro means father and mother. So the word mother is elided and the father is retained. That is called eka sesa, one remaining. So here also, instead of saying nama rupa, it is just said nama rupa. But we must understand that it means sometimes nama, sometimes rupa, and sometimes both nama and rupa. Now, there are beings who have mind only, and there are beings who have metta only, and there are beings who have both mind and metta. What do we have? Both mind and metta. But there are Brahmas who have only mind, who have only consciousness and mental factors and no physical body. So for them, it should be just nama and not rupa. It can be just nama, not rupa. So vijnana, the consciousness is a condition for cetasikas, for those beings who are without physical body, then it is nama. And then there are beings who are without mind, who are like statues. It is said that as a result of the fifth jhana, developed specially, then beings are reborn as Brahmas without mind. So mindless beings. They are called non-percipient beings. We just call them mindless beings. So for them, there is no nama. So vijnana is a condition for them only for rupa and no nama. Regarding them, we must understand that vijnana is a condition for rupa. But for beings like us, vijnana is a condition for both nama and rupa. So the word nama rupa is to be understood as meaning nama, rupa and nama rupa. Now next sentence, nama rupa paccaya salayatanam. Because there are nama rupa and nama rupa as condition, the sixth base and sixfold base arise. Now again, the word salayatana is ekasesa, one remaining. Sixth and sixth, these two words are joined together and sixth is elided. So we have only salayatana. Now the sixth base is mind base, and the other bases are physical bases. So for those who are reborn as physical bodiless Brahmas, then the sixth base is the one conditioned, and for those who are born with both mind and matter, sixfold base is conditioned by Nama and Rupa. So here both words should be understood in this way. Nama Rupa means Nama, Rupa and Nama Rupa, and Salajatana, six bases means sixth base and six bases. And here Nama means 52 Chaitasikans and Rupa means four primaries, that means four essential elements, element of earth, water, fire and air, and six base matters. Six base matters means eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose, tongue, body and heart. And Jivita is life faculty of matter and ahara, nutriment. So Rupa means these. And the six bases are eye base, that means the sensitivities in the eye, ear base, nose base, tongue base, body base, and mind base. So mind base means all 89 types of consciousness. Number 5, Salayatana Paccaya Passo. Because there are sixth base and sixfold bases, as condition, contact arises. Now what is Phassa here? Eye contact, ear contact, nose, tongue, body and mind contact. That means when you see something, there is the object that is seen, and there are the eyes, that is the base of seeing, and there is seeing consciousness. And along with these three there arises what is called contact. So that contact is called eye contact. When you hear something also, there arises contact, and that contact is called ear contact. When you smell something, then the contact is called nose contact. And when you taste something, then it is tongue contact. And when you touch something, that's body contact. And when you think in your mind, and it is mind contact. So there are six kinds of contacts: eye contact, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind contact. Eye contact actually is Phassa concomitant with two Chakku Vijnana Chetas. Now Chakku Vijnana Chetas means seeing consciousnesses. This is one seeing consciousness and this is another seeing consciousness. So these two. So the Phassa or contact arising together with these two are called eye contact. And contact arising with these two types of ear consciousness is called ear contact, and so on until they are body consciousness. And then mind contact means Phassa concomitant with 22 mundane result chetas. Altogether there are 32 mundane result chetas. But we subtract these 10 from the 32, and so we get 22. So Phassa concomitant with these 22 mundane resultant chetas is called mind contact. And six bases are the same, six bases, the internal bases, eye base, ear, nose, tongue, body base and mind base, and also the external bases here, visible data base, that means something that can be seen or a visible object, and then sound base, odor base or smell base, flavor base, tangible data base. Now tangible data base means the combination of three primary elements, that is element of earth, fire and air. And then Dhamma base. So you know what Dhamma base is. If you don't remember, you go back to the 7th chapter. And then number 6, Phassa Paccaya Vedana. Because there is contact as condition, feeling arises. So Vedana means feeling born of eye contact and so on. So there is eye contact, and when there is eye contact, there arises feeling. And that feeling is called feeling born of eye contact. So feeling born of eye contact, ear contact, and so on. They are feeling concomitant with 32 resultant chetas. So they are to be taken. Vedana paccaya tanha. Because there is feeling as condition, craving arises. So Vedana here, resultant sukha Vedana. Sukha means pleasant, happy Vedana, pleasant feeling. Resultant means the result of karma. So resultant sukha Vedana, or resultant sukha, dukkha and upekkha Vedana, or non-resultant Vedana. So actually all Vedana, all feelings. Now first it states sukha Vedana only, because it is obvious that tanha can arise through sukha Vedana, or pleasant feeling. But tanha can arise conditioned by unpleasant feeling and neutral feeling also. So we take all. Or non-resultant Vedana, Vedana concomitant with other types of consciousness than the resultant consciousness. So actually all Vedanas are taken as Vedana here. Tanha, craving for visible data, craving for sound, for odor, for flavor, for tangible data, and for Dhamma data. So that means craving for everything, because visible data, sound, odor, flavor, tangible data, they are the 5 kinds of objects, and the Dhamma data includes all others. So Tanha is just craving for the objects that are mind and matter. Tanha paccaya upadhanam. Because there is craving as condition, clinging arises. Now you know there are 4 clingings, right? Sense desire clinging, false view clinging, rite and ritual clinging, that means clinging to rites and rituals as a correct way to emancipation, and self-clinging, that means clinging to the view of self, or the view of self itself, which is clinging. So in reality, there are only 2 mental factors that are called clinging, and they are lobha, attachment, and ditthi, wrong view. Now the first one, sense desire clinging, is the same as lobha, and the other 3 are the same as ditthi. Tanha is to be taken as the 7th sentence. And then upadana paccaya bhavo, because there is clinging as condition, becoming arises. Upadana are the same as in number 8, but bhava here is of 2 kinds. The first one is kama bhava, and the second one is upapatti bhava. Kama bhava means chetana and covetousness, etc., concomitant with it. Mostly, when we say kama, we just mention chetana only. But actually, in the books, in the text, as well as in the commentaries, covetousness and others are also called kama. So here, kama bhava means kama, and the kama here represents chetana and covetousness and others concomitant with it. And the next one is upapatti bhava, existence, rebirth existence, something like that. So upapatti bhava represents resultant aggregates. Resultant aggregates mean resultant mental aggregates, and rupa born of karma. That means rupa produced by karma. So there can be confusion here because there are two kinds of bhava, and we must understand which bhava is meant in a certain context. So here both bhavas are taken because they can be conditioned by upadana or clinging. So kama bhava and upapati bhava. So kama bhava is simply kama, and upapati bhava is simply rebirth. So actually it is the same as next one, jadi. Okay, we'll have a break.